everyone. Happy Thursday. What is going on? I don't even know. But it's Thursday, guys. Welcome to Bruce and Stephanie Comics. We are your hosts. My name is Bruce.
My name is Stephanie.
Guys, and we have a special show for you tonight. It's something a little out of the norm for us, but we are doing a creator interview. And it's a really cool indie book. We were lucky enough to have these two fine young gentlemen reach out to us and ask if we'd like to read their comic. And we were like, heck yeah, we want to read your comic. Of course we want to read your comic. So we dove in, and wow, this book was incredible, guys. So we've been doing a little social media behind it this week, doing our best. And we so this is called The Digital Pools. And this is written by Alex Robnett and drawn or art by Matt Stevens. And guys, this book is really, really good.
It's really good, guys. Like, really good.
We're obviously going to bring Alex and Matt on, and they're going to tell you a lot more about it. There's only one issue out right now. This was crowdfunded. This was a Kickstarter. We have 3 issues to give out tonight. One is double signed. The other 2 are just crisp, fresh copies of the book. But this is such a cool moment. As you can't tell, we're super, super excited to be doing this tonight on a Thursday. There are some other things going on tonight that you might. There's comic book posers.
Comics, this or that.
Going on tonight. So there's some other things. So if you guys don't catch this live, definitely catch this on the replay because it is going to be a great, great interview. Is there anything else to say before we bring Matt and Alex on?
No, just that we're excited that we get to bring this to you and hope that you can pick it up. It's not in stores like everywhere.
Not everywhere.
So we can ask them. Maybe they know where it is in New York, where you can pick it up. If not, we'll be your hookup. We'll send you some copies. We got you, boo-boo.
Oh, boo-boo. You guys are so lucky. Now, who do you want to bring on first? Matt? Alex? I don't know. I'm nervous. Do we insult one by bringing on the other one first?
Why don't we bring them on at the same time?
Same time. All right, same time. All right, guys. Get excited. We are bringing on Alex and Matt right now. First, we're going to bring on Alex, and then we're going to bring on Matt. Oh, and my background doesn't work with all 3. I wasn't prepared for it. Darn it.
Too bad. It was a good job. You have some serious digital design skills.
Maybe I can do it in the background when no one's paying attention, but then I'm not paying attention to you guys. That's not fair. Next time I'll be prepared for the 3-screen setup. I forgot you guys were going to be in 2 different locations. But how are you guys doing? Are you guys ready for this? Get this word out there about the digital pools.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Believe it or not, super excited. We've appreciated it back and forth with you guys, but we've been looking forward to this all week. So, happy to talk about the book and where the series is going. I think Matt and I definitely have some interesting stuff up our sleeves. So happy to be here.
That was I do want to interject for a second. I believe it's you, Matt, because you don't have headphones on, but I can hear like an echo of like the show playing behind.
Oh, let me get headphones. Give me 10 seconds. I'll get headphones.
Sure.
All right, yeah, because I can hear it twice. I hear me talking the first time and then again. Which, I mean, I love to hear myself talk. Don't get me wrong. I'll listen to myself twice. But I don't know that everyone else is going to love it as much as me.
So, Alex, how has your day been? How has your week been? How has your last few months been all leading up to issue 1 coming out?
Yeah. So, Matt and I have been working for about a year, I guess over a year now together, like in the beginning stages, fleshing out the story through the comic medium, like getting to the format, and immediately clicked on a lot of the visual ideas and the conceptual ideas of like where we wanted to see the story going, and man, this summer just kind of with everything going on, everyone's kind of in the same position, right? Like it's kind of a Groundhog Day, but working on this stuff, I will say that with Matt. It's been an exciting time. It's really broken up the monotony of the day, and like we're always excited to kind of talk to one another and like see where the book is going, and working on issue 2 right now, getting ready for the Kickstarter release on the 20th of this month. So yeah, the engine is moving full steam ahead. So super excited about that.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. You guys hear me okay?
Yes, much better.
No more echo? Okay. Sorry about that.
No
That's
worries.
okay. The first time we
Yield
did
mistake.
like a StreamYard thing, we did the same thing, and we're like, it's like Dolby surround sound.
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So-
So I think the first question for you guys is just a simple one. Tell us about you, Matt, and you, Alex, as a person. Like, it's a background of like, what do you do for a day job? When did you first start reading comics? Is this like your first foray into writing? Like, just like the basics for everyone to get to know each one of you. You guys can pick who goes first.
Yeah, sure, Matt. Matt, why don't you go first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So let's see. So I'm a freelance illustrator. That basically means I draw. I'm a gun for hire. I draw for websites, for ad stuff, books, magazines, you name it. I've done it. And then I'm also an art teacher. I teach art at a high school in Connecticut, and it's actually it's a great sort of it's a great combo, because being able to make art for a living and then also teach art, they sort of it's very synchronous. So what I'm doing in my illustration career often informs what's going on in classroom and vice versa. So they feed each other. So it's a really nice balance. And then my third job this year has been the digital pools. That's number 3. And that's a labor of love. And Alex is my mistress. my wife is like, "Who's that on the phone?" It's Alex again.
Yeah.
So it's a daily thing, but it's a good daily thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then for me, Alex Robnett. I mean, I've always had an interest in science fiction. I've always had a knack, I guess, for writing, but until recently, I haven't really shown my product to really anyone other than like very close friends, I guess. And kind of was going through some things in my life like a few years ago, and then came to a conclusion like, hey, I only live once, and I know I had this really good idea, and the digital pools being one of them. And there's several stories around like within this universe, and digital pools was probably the most fleshed out, and it's been something I've been conceptually thinking about for about 8 years. And I was like, you know what? I had originally conceived it as like as kind of a mini series, and I'm like, well, comics are a great medium. I've always been a fan of comic books, and so that's kind of when I reached out to Matt, and it was off to the races from there. But I mean, just about myself, like, I mean, I'm a typical sci-fi nerd. I mean, I grew up. My grandfather was a big influence on me. He handed me a lot of the Star Wars expanded universe when I was really young, and I was big into chapter books when I was really young, and then I got into Dune. When third grade and like reading Dune, like I didn't understand all the nuances in the story, but it was awesome to come back to it. But yeah, of course, I was like totally into Spider-Man. I was obsessed with Spider-Man, and then for Batman for DC when I was younger. And I'd say the biggest change in my life was like seeing The Matrix and like a completely different way of like storytelling through through like a visual medium like cinema. I mean, everyone has like that moment, like that movie they saw. Like some people it's Star Wars, some people maybe Indiana Jones, but mine would happen to be The Matrix. Just probably it's very similar to many people my age. So anyway, so now I'm here, and it's like Matt said, like I have like several. I'm just like Matt. I have several day jobs now. One of them is this, which I fully love. The job that pays the bills is I work for like this blockchain analytics firm, which is like bleeding edge technology. So I work with some of the brightest. I mean, I'm easily the dumbest guy on the team. These guys are like literal guys and girls are like rocket scientists, and very very lucky to be a part of that company. Elementus, and the other day job which has been thrust upon me has been the homeschool teacher thing. So I'm pretty sure you guys can relate. So it's a brave new world. yeah, man, I tell you what, Matt and I have been like he said, I'm his mistress and he's mine, and we've been working really close to one another, and I got really lucky last year when I finally took the plunge and kind of pushed this story out into the world, and yeah, ever since then, man, it's been really exciting thinking about where this story can go. So it's awesome.
That's awesome. So one question for you guys, I guess, is do you guys read comics? Do you guys collect comics? Have you ever collected comics? Is because I'm curious if you guys haven't, how did you fall upon comics being the choice to tell your story?
Sure. Yeah, sure. That's a good question. So, I mean, I was definitely, just like any kid growing up in the 90s, Image came out and was like took the world by storm. So everyone was obsessed with like pouches on the characters and guns blazing, and like Todd McFarlane and like the Silvestri, like all those guys were like captured lightning in a bottle in a way, and so I was into the flashy comic books and like dove back into Marvel every now and then, but I wasn't like too much of a heavy reader into it. But I still begged my mom to, every time we were at the grocery store, hey, can you grab a comic book? Or when the happened chance when I went to like a card shop or a comic book store, I definitely grabbed a few copies of books. But I was definitely more of a if I was obsessed with a certain type of medium for the fiction for fiction stories to come to life, it was through like novels. I would say, of course, Dune, and then the Forever War. Like I said, the Star Wars novels in the beginning. But I was always a reader. And it wasn't until college I really dove back into comic books. Read back through the Vertigo series with like Sandman and all those like the darker stories, of course. And reintroduced myself to Batman after just reviewing. Like, I was a child of the 90s, so Batman the animated series was like I watched that thing religiously, right?
Yeah.
And Kevin Conroy will always be Batman to me. But I was always into that stuff, and then college I dove back into it, and ever since then I've always been more of a graphic novel guy. Leaned more towards like the more mature themes, I guess, but like the deeper stories that kind of coalesce or that are written more into like a miniseries format that fit the graphic novel format a little bit more. But yeah, I've always been interested in the written word and great storytelling, and comic books has always been there. But I wouldn't call myself the most collected of comic collectors. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, no, so I'm a little bit older than Alex. I got into comics in the 80s, which was, I remember Image coming on the scene, and it was sort of like, oh, what's this? But, when I first started reading comics, it was just Marvel and DC. I was a huge Daredevil fan, and unsuccessfully tried to collect the entire Daredevil run. And I got a couple hundred issues in, or maybe 180 issues in, and then just, I just couldn't do it. I got, maybe 2/3 of the way. But really what sunk me was the Frank Miller was writing and illustrating a beautiful run on Daredevil, and it just hooked me. And then I was off to the races. And so, I collected. I liked, even back then, I liked indie comics. Dark Horse was around, so I collected. Oh God, there was so many. Trekker was one. Scout the comic, not Scout the comic book maker. So I used to love indie comics, and I never really lost that. I've always collected comics. I got a little bit away from single issues for a while, and just was collecting trade paperbacks, just because the collecting aspect of it lost a little bit of interest to me.
Sure.
But I just loved reading the stories. And honestly, this, I've drawn comics before, but never like this, like where we're trying to get it published. So this is you know, a lot of ways, this is a dream come true. You know,
Yeah.
I've always felt like deep down, if you could draw a comic, it just seems like sort of a rite of passage, because you've got to capture the story and the emotion. It's got to be cinematic, and if it's done really well, it's very immersive in ways that, you know, in ways that a novel isn't. You know, a novel is immersive in other ways, but that interplay between pictures, that, you know, between text and images, has always been so fascinating to me. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm in the comic world. You know, again, kind of like Alex, not like the collector, but more just like the reader. You know, really interested in the stories. And you know, and Alex's story, you know, when we met about a year ago, I guess it's a little bit more now. His story, like, you know, from the first couple emails and phone call, just grabbed me, and I was like, man, I want to read this. You know, I want to read this comic book. I love this story. I mean, Alex can tell you a little bit more about the story, but it was, the themes of this book are themes that I think about, and I think a lot of people who, you know, these days think about. You know, where's technology going? And you know, I'll let Alex talk more about that. But I was a fan reading his story, and just wanted to be a part of it. You know, wanted to be the guy that was the, you know, was drawing it, making it come to life.
That's awesome. All right, so we are just about 18 minutes in. We are going to do a giveaway, guys. So people watching now, people watching on Rewind, we have 3 books to be giving away. What we want you guys to do, since we want as many people to get a chance to win these books, is the way you guys are going to do it. We're going to pick 3 names in a week's time. So in next Thursday. All you have to do is leave a comment about Alex and Matt of something that happened during the interview.
Mm-hmm.
That easy. That's all you guys got to do. Simple. And you guys get an issue of issue number 1. I don't even know what I'm saying. But yeah, like I said, we had 3 to give away. So super, super excited. We'll remind you a few more times throughout the episode. Comment after this video or after this interview is done. Simple. Yeah. It's easy.
We'll put your names on a wheel or something. We'll spin it around. We'll think of something fun.
Yeah. We'll probably
throw darts at pictures of you.
It's always fun.
And I was thinking about spicing it up too. I was going to maybe throw in a few of these digital pool cipher tools as well, if that's okay. A last minute audible, but I figured that could make things extra special for this time. So we can talk more about those. Yeah.
And then when digital pools blows up and you guys can't find it anywhere, you'll be thankful that we gave it to you.
All right. So we've been talking for just about 20 minutes now, but we haven't really talked about what digital pools is. There's 5 people on right now. You guys pitch to us, or pitch to the audience, and everyone that's going to be watching on the Rewind, what is digital pools? Why should people be excited about it? Why should they be trying to find it at the local comic book shop, requesting it at the local comic book shop? And we can go from there.
Sure thing. Yeah. So as Matt mentioned, the idea of technology and our approaching, you know, kind of our symbiotic relationship with all these devices that we're constantly connected to, iPhone, our computers, our iPads, have always intrigued me. So the idea of the story is that in the near future, and it's an optimistic future, so a little bit more of a change than you see. It's not a dystopian future, you know, somewhat, but in the near future, people have begun to experience the internet in more of a visceral way, and so the way they do this is they connect to a decentralized virtual version of the internet that opens up, you know, tremendous possibilities. And so how this connection is formed is that, you know, 10, 15 years into the future, we all have these nano machines that are helping regulate, you know, our metabolic systems. But there are these groups of developers out there who figure out a way to help those nano machines connect to our neural pathways, and so people submerge themselves in these things called digital pools, and the fluid within them is alkaline. So you have a complete totally immersive experience. You're not just looking at this thing through like a lens. Once you connect, you can touch things, you can experience, crazy worlds. And so the possibilities of this new technology are quite fascinating, and they're very, very interesting. But they also leave room there for an element of danger, much like the internet today. Everyone can go on YouTube and look at cat videos, or go on YouTube and look at Bruce and Stephanie comics videos as they see fit. But there's also a very dark side to the internet, and not a lot of people are aware of that. But things do occur on beneath the tiny tip of the iceberg within the deep web. And so the government in this day and age, in 2034, is trying to wrap their heads around, okay, this new technology is really taken off. There's a lot of interest in this, but now they've heard around the grapevine that there are these criminals now acting within this virtual environment and committing these acts of crime called mind crime. And what that means is, there are basically these criminals out there who are subjugating innocent minds and performing terrible actions on them. And in the physical world, it doesn't happen, but within their mind, the scars are very real. So in order to kind of police this new network, police this new decentralized network, the federal government allocates funding across major metropolitan areas, and our story is focused in on Boston. And so we focused on a couple characters within that unit. Lieutenant Julio La Rosa. He's a smart detective. He's been in the field for a couple of decades. He's on his way to retirement. And he kind of takes this post leading this new team as like, his ride off into the sunset, as like a favor to his captain Matthew Burns. And as he builds his team, he hires a young officer with a lot of street cred, and obviously a young and engaging officer to work alongside him. But in order to figure out what exactly is going on in the simulation, he contracts the services of this mysterious hacker and former simulation developer known as Rico Teller. And during the course of their initial investigation, they stumble upon what seems like an isolated incident of criminal activity, but it leads and intertwines within the corruption of the real world, and it kind of shines a spotlight on like a deep web of corruption that's not only still very much active within the real world, but it's also penetrating this new digital network. So it's a 13-issue series. There's a definitive beginning, obviously, right, with issue 1, and then there's a definitive end. And the story is told across 3 acts. So right now we're in the middle of Act 1. Act 1 consists of issue 1 through 4, and then Act 2 is issue 5 through 9, and then 10 through 13 is the final piece of the much larger puzzle. But again, this is a story that I've thought of for a very long time. It's very exciting to see these scenes that are playing in my head at 30 frames per second for so long, and illustrating that with words on the page, and then handing those off to Matt, and he captures it beautifully, with the frames and how the images kind of pop off the screen. Yeah, we're very excited to tell this story. So, and obviously I can go on all day about the details, and much more to come with how we build the world, and even outside the comic book. But yeah, so that's pretty much my 3 or 4 minute elevator pitch on the digital pools.
Oh my God, you said elevator pitch too.
It's lingo, babe.
Versus like, he wrote it in like the description of what we're going to talk about, and I was like, elevator. Well, I think he wrote elevator picture, but then I was like, what the heck's it?
It was a typo. I was writing really fast. Okay.
Elevator pitch, but I guess he's not crazy. That's a real thing.
Yeah. It's a corporate buzzword. It's just like synergy and level set. There's so many words out there that we could certainly bore you with. But
it's like people get into an elevator and you have the one elevator ride to tell them your idea and to sell them on it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I don't.
That happens all the time.
Elevators.
So many elevator rides. Just deals are done. So there is. We've both read the issue multiple times. So there's some coding that happens within the issue. Are either of you coders doing your coding thing? Or is some of the code that we see in some of the screens actual code? And can we read that code and find out what secrets to the
Yeah,
mysteries?
So there will be, obviously it's a cyber noir story, okay, and there's obviously realistic elements with here with how we thought about the technology and how the world, most likely will hopefully end up in this situation. And yeah, some of the code on the pages is real, but I am not a coder. I was hired at my job to talk about the company and like think strategically. So I have bare bones HTML and like Python script. However, I do, like I said before, I do work with some of the brightest minds. I have the luxury to do that. So some of them have helped out with this actually, and a few of the things where we want to take the story and bring it out from the page and bring the experience out from the page, we've thought about some ideas behind the scenes. So yeah, if you pay attention, and there are no lines that are written in this. There are throwaway lines. Everything that's written down is for a reason. So even things like you suggested, Bruce, some of the code that we may have in there may have a purpose down the line. You may just have to pay attention to it. So that I'll leave the little hints there, the little breadcrumbs, so people can follow those later, maybe.
I like it. That's actually pretty interesting because I never would have thought to ask that, and that's really cool. I don't know how to do anything with code, but I'll just type it exactly into Google and see what happens.
So you said you have 13 issues, or this is going to be a 13 issue story. How much are you guys ahead of this? Like, do you guys have it just outlined, or you guys, do you have the 13 issues fully written? And now they're just in Matt's lap, and he's like drawing away furiously, and you're like, Matt, why aren't you on issue 13 yet?
Yeah. yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. We do have an interesting relationship. I guess I'll just leave it at that. No, but the story is written out. It has a definitive end. We've written out the entire story arc, but it is malleable. As like, for example, we're working through, like, I'm transferring the outlines and the script I have from the first run through back to issue 4, like taking the pieces out of that and put it into an issue 4 format. So some of the things I've thought up on the fly to kind of like tweak things, issue 1 through 3 so far, I'll edit those in issue 4. So there's some changes that still occur. But yeah, it's all there. I mean, I know exactly how this is going to end, and I'm like jonesing to get to that point because I think it's like super cool, and like it's crazy how just sitting and thinking about this stuff and having these ideas percolate and everything leading up. I think it'll be quite exciting. But yeah, I guess that's a good way, kind of a good segue to kind of talk about the process. Like, I kind of go through the script, and then we've gotten really well about working with each other. So if anyone out there is an aspiring writer or has written for a comic book before, writing out the script and working with your artist, or working with your team of artists is kind of it can be a delicate process, but Matt and I both have the same vision of where we want to see this going, and so I have full trust in him to kind of take those words on and then put them out onto the illustrated pages. But there may be tweaks here and there of the story that may happen in between then. But yeah, it's a pretty good. I mean, there's never been a better time to tell a story. Okay, and the access to finding your audience and even printing your own book is there. The toughest part is finding a collaborator, and I definitely got lucky with Matt. But yeah, we work really well together. So
yeah, we do.
I want to ask Matt about.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I was going to ask more about your art. So if you're going to tell me about your art, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, no, so it's, I mean, I recommend it to anybody that's listening or does listen to this in the future. Artists are a pretty solitary bunch. We, just by the nature of making art, you're usually alone when you do it. And that's why I've really enjoyed this collaboration. It's such a special thing to be able to own your part of a larger thing, and trust that the other person is going to deliver their part. So, it's a 2-man team. So I trust that what he's going to give me on the written page is good, and he trusts that what I'm going to give him back in drawing form reflects that. And there's a nice, I think we have a nice balance where it doesn't happen that often, but we've both said to each other, "Hey, what do you think about this? I'm not sure if this is working. You may want to look at that again." One thing in particular is Alex knows his way around a handgun a little bit more than me. So he, it's funny because I can draw a gun and I can draw someone holding it, but there have been more than one time when he's like, "Yeah, no," he or she is holding that gun wrong. Just tweak it a little bit, and it's great. I love that because and it's one of the things about drawing is you. There's a great quote. I'm gonna mess it up, but something like, if I've never seen something that I haven't drawn. So in other words, the act of drawing something and being able to put it on a piece of paper or paint it allows you to see it in a new way, and so I find that true every time. And in a comic book, you're drawing people and you're drawing buildings and you're drawing cars and you're drawing landscapes and trees and guns, and you think you know how to draw it, but then Alex tells you that actually you're close, but just no one would hold a gun like that. So it's a really good thing. It's a really interesting process to go back and forth. And I mean, there have been one or two times when I've said, change this word or something. It rings kind of false to my ear, but that probably happens less than the drawing side, but it's nice. It's a great, my point is that it's a great back and forth relationship. And, if you're an artist or a writer, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, storytelling is storytelling, whether it's comics or movies or writing a novel. And the beauty that Alex and I talk about all the time is this golden age we're in right now, where two schlubs like us can meet over a Google, over Google. He found me through just the power of Google, and not only come up with a working relationship, but crowdfund it, get the thing published, and 2 months, 3 months later, it's in people's hands. That wasn't really possible. What 10 years ago, 15 years ago, or at least it wasn't as possible as it is now.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you, Matt? Why don't you talk a little bit about like when we first met? We were going through the color palettes, and then we did like some tests because I know Stephanie's interested in like your art.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get to, but I didn't want to be rude. But that's
no.
The most visually appealing things about this book is the colors. Like they're very vibrant and grab you, and like even the scenes where it's like purple and dark is still like.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I have the way I think about color is it's sort of an old design trope. So one of the things I teach at high school is design, and when you're talking about typography and in some ways even color, less is often more, right? So in my mind, Alex will provide me with the script, and I'll draw the whole comic really roughly, and then we'll go back and we'll make some tweaks, and then I ink it. And then the color really is dictated by the mood that Alex is trying to create. So if it's, I don't know, if it's if it's sort of a tense scene, I'm thinking about what's the anchor color that's going to hold that scene together. And is it a darker brooding color? Is it bright? Is it oversaturated? And another way sometimes I think about it is, can I inject the color into this scene that has more that adds a layer of meaning? So in issue 2, there's a scene, little teaser here, but there's a scene where a lawyer is, I don't want to give too much away, but she's being introduced into a world that will eventually cause some problems for her. And so on the wallpaper behind her, there's going to be a streak of red, sort of subliminally suggesting the danger that she's. And throughout that whole scene, there will be moments of like this sort of blood red that maybe people won't pick up, or maybe they will. But that's sort of another way I think about colors. Can it help me? Can it help us tell the story a little bit more? You know, and again, less is more. I usually go with 2 or 3 main colors, and then maybe another accent color. But yeah, that's a pretty good example. There's on that page there's no greens, and there's really no yellows. Yeah, exactly. So it's really just half of a color palette, and intentionally I leave other colors out. Sometimes in comics it turns me off when you see sort of what I think of as like a rainbow palette or a rainbow color scheme, and they use brown and they use purple and they use green and they use blue and they use yellow. It's like more is not more, I think, in comics. I think less is more.
Yeah.
You definitely nailed it. And we do have some cool people in chat. And Jeremiah Babcock wants to know if, even though you're so talented, can you draw feet? Because apparently that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I love drawing feet.
They're gonna have a whole second. There's gonna be issue 3, all feet.
Yeah, that's the.
Yeah.
I guess we just teased our second work in progress is going to be a whole comic book devoted to feet. So.
A planet of feet people, like giant feet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness.
I have to say,
you heard it
I'm
here
pretty
first.
impressed
Nobody take that idea.
This is like your first shot at writing. I know this isn't your first shot at drawing, Matt, but for this comic book to come out as well written and as well illustrated, like right off the bat, is making me very excited for issue 2 to come out and be able to read that.
I would definitely want to talk about that because Stephanie and I are huge. I shouldn't say huge. We're not like huge collectors. We don't have like tens of thousands of comic books. We haven't read every single thing under the sun. But currently, we are trying to read every indie we can almost get our hands on, and we read a lot.
Cool.
And so many of your book is better than 3/4 of those indies.
I've read a lot of garbage.
A lot of books that we are currently reading right now don't even come close to the level of storytelling that you have crafted in this issue 1. Like the intrigue, the mystery, the action. Like there's so many great points in this first issue that grab you, that make you want to read the next page or the next book. And the characters, like everyone has like some depth to them that make them interesting and engaging. And I don't know, I was really, really impressed about this as a whole, as a first issue, and the fact that you guys crowdfunded this and it's not picked up by Boom or Vault or
dummies. They're gonna regret it.
Dark Horse. There's so many other things. Like this book is a must read for any comic book fan because this is such a interesting story as a whole. And like I said, it's so well told. It's so well drawn. We are super excited about issue 2. We haven't talked so much about issue 1. I did want to go more into the story itself, but we are getting closer to what is it? I can't read it. 940. Then I want to talk a little bit about issue 2 and what your plans are, because you mentioned it earlier, Alex. You are going to be doing a Kickstarter for issue 2. When does that drop? Give people the download on where they can find issue number 1 and issue 2. What's the plan for issue 2?
Sure thing. Yeah. So the easiest way to get issue 1 right now is through our website. So we have both a PDF copy and a paper copy available through the website. The website is www.thedigitalpools.com. On there, you'll also find background on the story. So it gives you a little bit of a precursor as how we've gotten from 2020 to 2034. And then a little bit of background on the Virtual Crime Task Force initiative. So you're a little bit more up to date, before you dive into the first issue. so yeah, that's the easiest way to get access to the first copy, from a direct source. But then if you're in the Connecticut area, we're both in the Connecticut area. We're about 20 minutes from each other in I would say middle of Connecticut. We're working with several comic book stores now to kind of get it off the shelves, but the demand has been awesome. Like the guys have been really picking it up and really digging it, which has been awesome. By the way, like we've been meeting our fans like face to face, or like New Comic Book Day, which is like super cool, like dream come true. It's and like Matt and I can certainly attest to like someone coming up to you and talking about the details of the story, and it's like, dude, like we just worked on this like 3 months ago, like tweaked everything and put it out the printer, and now we have people asking about it, and it's really exciting, and we love to talk to people about that. So so it is available locally, but we are trying to get down into New York as well. I would say, but before issue 2, like I go down to New York for work sometimes, so I'm gonna try to hit up some local comic book stores. I've already got a short list of what to work with. But as soon as I have that information of where it'll be available, I'll probably post it on the website, and also post through our main social media right now is Instagram. So that's what I'll say about issue 1. For issue 2, the Kickstarter is kicking off the 20th of this month, so October 20th. And yeah, I mean, we're really planning for this series, I should say, to be a quarterly release. So Kickstarter launches in October 20th, and then we're hoping to have the first issue really out to stores like the first week of December.
Second issue.
Second issue. Sorry. Yeah. So
yeah.
Sorry, been a blur. Yeah. The second issue will be available in December, for the first week of December. And then really trying to keep that 90-day window with each release after that. But yeah, we're excited about the Kickstarter. We got some cool tiers. The last time the tiers of like drawing people into the comic book and giving them speaking parts, those went very, very quickly. So we'll have similar stuff to that. We've got some other unique things as well. Yeah, so stay tuned for the announcements on the tiers. But issue 2 is coming, and yeah, the Kickstarter is just around the corner within the next couple weeks. So
that's really soon.
Yeah, very soon. Very soon.
In the chat did say that he would love a signed copy of this book. Barikan, we have a signed copy.
We do.
And Digital Pools, Alex and Matt are going to be our November giveaway. So, Barikan, you know what to do. This is not your first rodeo. Stay tuned for November. We also have 3 issues we're giving away today or next over the next week. You can put entries in by commenting in this video below, telling us about how much you love Alex and Matt. I want like full details though.
Yeah.
Like how much you're going to
describe our
sacrifice.
feet. Yeah, or describe what you think our feet look like too. Yeah, we're gonna go with the feet thing. And I'll add on that. So every issue that we give away tonight too, it's really important for us to keep the engagement up and keep people excited. So one of the things we have on the website is a members only simulation section. So you get your own unique login there, and there's more to come on how this develops. Right now, there's repositories for like email communication from Lieutenant Julio La Rosa back and forth between so it's building this world up. So there's maybe some hidden messages in there you want to keep an eye on, or just see what the dialogue is behind the scenes as these characters develop. But just again, bring in this world to life, because there really is a lot to tell. If you can't tell already, I can go on all day about this. But yeah, so that's definitely included with the giveaway.
Amazing. So we are at the 9:45 hour minutes, whatever it is.
I do want to state that James Galagos, our amazing wrench, did put the link for the Digital Pools website in chat, so you guys know where to go. John Ross is here. He's like, "Oh, I was late. Thanks for telling me."
Yeah, thanks, James. Appreciate that.
Guys, if anyone in chat, if you guys have any questions that you guys would like to ask Alex or Matt, now is your time. We're going to spend the next 15 minutes just kind of like giving you guys a moment to ask any questions you guys have, and just chatting for the next 15 minutes.
Well, I have a question.
In a bit.
Since you guys are such an amazing team and Digital Pools is already awesome, going to be even more awesome, are you planning on doing more comic books that are digital pools in
Interesting.
the future?
We have a few ideas in mind. We have a list, I should say, of story ideas. One of them we actually teased on our Instagram channel a couple months ago, but yeah, there are things in the works in the background. But the digital pools is a beast. Like we're trying to get through it and kind of get a little bit of a ground ahead of us. But the idea machine is definitely churning. Matt, did you want to share anything else? Do you want to tease any more?
Yeah, so two things. One, the next series is going to be, I'm going to write it and Alex is going to draw it. We're going to flip the script a little bit. Yeah. And I think that's when we're really going to hit our stride. But no, seriously, I mean, we were just talking the other weekend over a beer about the larger digital pools world, and we're both sort of near future and far future nerds. We like to nerd out talking about that stuff and like what will the future look like. Science, not science fiction so much as science future, like all this crazy technology that's on in the future. And Alex shared with me some of his. Don't worry, Alex, I won't like spill the beans, but he shared some of his ideas of this digital pools world, that universe post 2034 and which direction it goes in. And man, I got really excited. I mean, I don't know if that's our next. I don't know if that's our next thing, but I went home thinking about that. I thought it was really cool. It lit a fire under me to really get this 13-issue story arc. See its completion, so that we can start to think about that other story. I'll leave it at that. I don't know if you want to say any more about that or not, Alex, but
the only thing,
for me, I was excited.
That's a good tease. The only thing I'd say on that is that digital pools is like a child of mine. I'll say that this story is my first child, so you always have that connection with your first child.
You always love your first child more.
Yes, definitely. They didn't hear that. Okay, they're in bed, right? That's this story. I have several like short stories that are told within the digital pools universe, but this is another epic that's set a couple hundred years later, and it's pretty interesting stuff. Definitely delves in the realm. If you like,
so cool.
If you like books, if you like the like Ray Kurzweil books, like talking about the future of technology, or if any of you have read it's a book by Nick Bostrom. It's called Superintelligence. Fascinating discussions on the future of artificial intelligence and things like that. So, but that's all I'll say. But space opera in the right way. Let's just put it that way. So, but that's all I'll say.
Very nice, very nice. We do have one question coming in so far. James Gallo has asked, Digital Pools is set in Boston. Are either of you guys from Boston?
No, I'm actually not from Boston, but when I moved up here, I'm originally from the American South, and I moved up here, I guess, almost 8 or 9 years ago. But when I moved up here, I was in and out of that city, and I actually went to Boston before I went to New York City. I grew up down south, and never been in New York. But I fell in love with the city. I love Boston to death. I love the Red Sox. I love the Bruins. I like I had a lot of good memories, I guess, in and around like the old city, and going down to Southie when Southie was like being coming up and like had this like up and coming vibe to it. So yeah, I just fell in love with it. So when I had the idea of the story in the back of my mind, before I'd even come up this way, thinking about digital pools, that was almost like one of the last pieces of the puzzle. Is like, where am I going to set this thing? And I don't know, something just clicked. It was got the vibe going, and I was like riding the T on the way back to like Waltham, I think, and I was like, what, this city would work out. And then I was trying to think about how the other characters, where they were living, like in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm like, okay, that's a great setting for other characters in the story as well, and then the Cape. So it all just like it all just came naturally. So, but yeah, I'm not from Boston area. Good
Matt,
question.
Are you from Boston?
Oh, you missed it, babe.
I went to
What's
school
that?
in Massachusetts, so I have a lot of history in 4 years in southeastern Massachusetts and weekends in Boston. So yeah, that I thought it was cool that that I liked the fact that this was set in Boston. It made a lot of sense to me.
I liked it too. Jeremiah Babcock said that since he came up with the popular feet topic, that he should just automatically win a copy of this book.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like his enthusiasm and his his determination to keep that topic coming around here. I like it.
And John Ross has asked that you please don't write any pandemic
Yeah.
or zombie.
Okay,
please.
so all right, so this is it's almost a question, but it's a great comment. The future here, I too have kind of gotten worn down by the whole dystopian apocalyptic scenarios. And a more interesting question is, what if the future is optimistic? What if it's optimistic? It's sitting out there, and there's something to look forward to, but it's something that we have to protect, and that goes well within a few of the minor storylines that kind of intertwine within the digital pool. So no worries there. There will not be zombies in here. There will not be a deadly form of like some space virus. Yeah, no worries there.
I have another question because
Okay.
I always have lots of questions. So let's say digital pools blows up like you know it will. Would you be willing to make it an ongoing story, or you're like 13 issues, that's it?
Yeah, that's
That's a great question
cut to the core of me.
we've had
Yeah.
this is really, yeah, this is a conversation we've had multiple times. But yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, the universe is there. Okay, it's in my head. I think there's a lot of characters that are living and breathing in this world. I just haven't met them yet. So I'd say that those stories are available there. If they want to be told down the line, but the saga of LaRosa, Rico Teller, Robert Mandela, the Boston VCTF. That's a definitive and a definitive beginning, definitive end. I always thought it was weird. Like, there's only a few shows that have done this right, or shows or series that have done it right, where they've had creative control. They're saying no, like, there's no reason to like stretch these characters out for 5 or 6 seasons, just because then you're kind of the storylines and the plot. I'm even noticing this now as I everything is already constructed. However, each piece I lay down the line, you have to pay attention, and you have to make sure there's no plot holes, or make sure everything intertwines. And I could just imagine what the headache of that would be if LaRosa gets a tap on the shoulder, like, all right, we got to go back, we got to come out from retirement and get back in there. I just don't think that would be interesting. I think there's something special. I look back at like Band of Brothers, for instance, was like an HBO show that it obviously based on the book, and a great book, by the way. But it had a beginning and an end, and that's something I can still go back to, and I thoroughly enjoy. And I think what's interesting about it is that it's a mini series, and it's a limited scope, and it wasn't. I guess it didn't become diluted down. However, again, there is a universe here. There are other characters out there. Obviously, some of the stories we're thinking about take place a couple centuries later. So it's a living, breathing world. There's more to tell. But I think the saga of which we have is confined within one series.
So like a spin-off.
Spin-off, like
Yeah.
like Joni Loves Chachi, maybe like that.
That was terrible.
yeah. Well, yeah. Bad example. I guess I was the only one that liked that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, one example, and I may be in the minority here, but the Alien, the Alien movie. I don't know what number they're on. There are some bad ones in there. I agree, but I was a fan of Prometheus. mean, I may be the only one, but the fact that it was within that alien universe and circled back and told a new story within an already existing universe, I thought was really well done. Again, there's some clunkers in there, but yeah, I love that idea. That always excites me. Revisiting the same universe and telling a different story within that. Yeah. Blade Runner is another example.
Exactly. And there's pieces of the story too, like within digital pools, like okay, how did the digital pools business, like, why is it skyrocketing? Like what are the businesses behind like making this world possible? Like, I've written a couple short stories for like minor characters for that, so those could probably take off on their own too. But yeah, I'm trying to leave it as open as possible. I'm open to anything, but I just don't want to dilute the story. Take away from this. Take away from the rarity of a limited run.
No, of course. I mean, so we're getting to the end of the hour. I just want to say some awesome things about you guys, and I want to give you guys the floor to say a few things. Well, go back to the giveaway real quick. I know you had the ciphers. I'd like you to explain a little bit about that. But guys, seriously, if you're watching this on the rewind, if you're in chat right now, guys, this book really is that good. It's The Digital Pools by Alex and Matt, and the story is just beautifully told. It's so engaging. It's so in depth. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. That's weird to say, but it's really freaking good. And you guys should be reading this. You should be going to the website, picking up a copy. If not, leaving a comment on this video once we wrap this up, so that way you guys have a chance to winning one of these books. It really is an amazing book. And I am so excited for issue 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Because I just can't wait to see where this ends. And Rico, I would say, is my favorite character in this book. And I cannot wait to see what happens. His story is so cool.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
Yeah.
I guess I want to support you guys and get this book into more people's hands. If we go into a comic book store and we're like, hey, you should get this book in your store, drop it and oh, what's this? Oh. Totally play a scene where we get this. Do they order them from your website? We'll be hit you guys up in your DMs and be like, hey, this comic book store wants to carry your book. Just I know all my cool fans out there are totally gonna ask their LCS and be like, digital pools for life.
Yeah, we're as committed to bringing, not only telling a good story and seeing it to its end and fulfilling everything that we have that we expect in the story as well, but also getting it into the hands of as many people as possible. So yeah, if the comic book just fell off onto the table and what is this, and they got interested, they could always contact us, and we would love to work out a way to get physical copies onto the shelves, obviously outside of Connecticut. We've spoken about the beauty of in the golden age of independent comics and working with another collaborator, or I guess collaborating between two individuals to put out a great story like what we've done. But there is a little bit of a hurdle to have ship copies out. That's probably the only hurdle outside of sending enough to printers and then getting it back. But more than happy to communicate with if any of you guys out there think a comic book store might be into this story, please let us know. I'm sure we'll have our contact info on this on the replay of this video, and you can always contact us through the website. Our information is there as well, or find us on Instagram. Yeah, man. If Stephanie, if you want to be a Digital Pools comic book mule, just let us know. We will send you some copies of the book.
I will be happy. I'm not kidding. I will go and buy a whole bunch of books and just go into a whole bunch of local comic book stores. They're super uncomfortable when girls talk to them, so I'll peer pressure them.
Yeah.
Into
whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Yeah, whatever.
And
I'm
it takes, from New York. I'll get New York tough. I'll start shouting, and then if that doesn't work, I'll cry.
Yeah, I'll
get it done.
yeah. But I will say we certainly appreciate all the praise. You guys have been it was great to give you a first look at the book, and I know we even gave you a little bit of a teaser into issue 2. So yeah, we're all the words you've said about it, they really mean a lot. It's it's definitely a leap of faith when you put your story out there and kind of show it off to the world. But yeah, we really appreciate your time and helping us out and trying to get the word out. So can't thank you enough for that.
Of course.
Our pleasure.
Matt, is there anything you want to say before we start wrapping up?
No, I mean, I echo what Alex said about, thank you so much for the kind words. That's fuel to us. It keeps us going. Just knowing that there are some people out there that are interested to see what happens with these characters. It sort of levels us up, it makes us do our best work. And I will say, issue 1, I think is a great issue. And I think issue 2 is even better. I'm really excited for you to see issue 2. There's some really, really sophisticated storytelling in there that Alex really worked hard on. And there's some just great scenes in there that were super fun to draw. And I'm in the process of coloring them now. And it's really coming to life. The cover's done, and I don't know. Can I show the cover, Alex?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. That'll definitely entice people. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how well it's going to show up on the screen, but how's that
really
look?
cool.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks
Awesome.
good.
Actually,
Yeah.
let's see if I-
So,
Yeah. The
this-
greens really pop too. So, it's definitely going to be an eye catcher on the shelf for sure.
yeah. So the cover's done, and really excited.
Well, we are obviously super excited, over the moon excited. This book, like you said, is so good. So going back to the giveaway, guys, we have 3 copies of this book. One is double signed by Alex and Matt themselves. All you got to do is leave a comment on this video once we wrap it up. Easy peasy. We're going to give you guys a week because we want lots of people to watch this interview, lots of people to get excited about the Digital Pools issue number 1 and have a chance to win the books. So, but I know Alex has an additional thing he wants to throw into the mix. Tell him about it.
Yeah, sure. So, in thinking about bringing this world that we've written and Matt has beautifully illustrated onto the page and bringing off to the page into your own reality, we have hidden 2 character codes throughout the issue 1, and this will continue on through all the remainder issues. And in order to, if you find all of them, there's 26 in the first issue. So if you find all of them, I don't know if you could see, then you get to input them into this cipher code. So I created this, cryptographic code within there, and now you get to use this cipher tool to decode it. And if you decode it, send us a message for now. There'll be more stuff to come with how you interact with these codes and these cipher tools on the member page as we get further along. But if you crack the code, you find
Can you
all
take
these.
it out of the bag, Alex?
Yeah, sure. That's such a great idea, Matt. See, Matt's full of ideas. So if you see here, they all fit to pieces and the pieces turn. So if you find all the 2 character codes within the book, and then you can unlock and decode what those other codes mean, it'll spit out hexadecimal code. And if you throw that hexadecimal code into a converter, it'll give you a message. So if you find out what that message is, contact us, through Instagram, send us an email at digitalpoolscomic@gmail.com, and we will have some special stuff for you. And no, it's not like the crappy cipher that you used to get when you were a kid that said, drink Ovaltine or something like that. We promise it's cooler stuff. Yes, yeah. John Ross has already mentioned Chris's story.
He said, I've seen a Christmas story.
That's only the 100th time I've heard that. But yeah, it's we promise you there's more to come on this. And if you think about it, this code the output code is in hexadecimal format. And for those of you who are computer programmers, there's plenty of interesting things that hexadecimal obviously instructs in computer programming. So more to come again with this. But yeah, I've got 3 here that I'm willing to throw into the mix on the giveaway. These are quite rare right now. Another thing that's flown off the shelf, and we will be making more of them, but they're in limited supply right now. So if you yeah, so anyway, happy to add those into the mix. And again, appreciate y'all helping us out here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before we let you go, I do want to say that Jeremiah in chat asked Matt if he does old school paper pencil sketches or digital.
Oh, excellent question. So I'm a convert to an iPad Pro, which is a 12.9 screen, completely mobile. I can be anywhere in the world, and I can steal 5 minutes and I can ink a panel or draw something. And I use a program called Clip Studio, which is kind of like a Photoshop program, but really tailored to the comic book maker. It's got a couple extra bells and whistles in there that Photoshop doesn't have, like panel making and speech bubble making and filling areas in. And yeah, that's my bread and butter right there. I use it. I've illustrated books in that. I've illustrated things for magazines. You name it. iPad Pro, Clip Studio, 12.9. That's it.
They're promoting this video, guys.
That's what I was gonna say. There's your pitch. There you go.
Sponsored by Apple. And Jeremiah, then you got to get on the surface of there's a screen protector called Paper-like, which makes the surface of the iPad Pro feel like paper. Which if you don't have that, it's really kind of slippery and shiny. So Paper-like. Sponsored by Paper-like.
Very cool, guys. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
No, other than we really appreciate our time being on here. It's been awesome, chatting with the other folks on the line here, and more to come in this series. More to come, through Matt and I's collaborations, and looking forward to doing more stuff with you guys, Bruce and Stephanie, down the road too. So, and Stephanie, I will be sure to ship you 100 issues of issue 1, so you can start hawking the stuff. Okay, yeah, awesome.
I mean, we in our spare time when we don't have kids, we are going to comics.
Bruce and Stephanie.
Yeah. In all that spare time, I'm sure you have right now. So, yeah, awesome.
All right, guys, we're gonna drop you guys to the backstage. Just stick around because we want to talk after we end the show. So I'm gonna drop you guys back now. Thank you guys so much. This was an awesome opportunity for us, and we had a great time.
I had a great time.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was the interview with Alex and Matt, who are the creators of the Digital Pools. I'm going to say issue number 1, but that's all that's out right now. But there's going to be 13 issues in total, and we cannot wait to get our hands on all 13. 2 is going to be on Kickstarter starting October 20th. So make sure you guys head over to thedigitalpools.com, or is it digitalpools.com? And that way you guys can get all the information into for the Kickstarter, and that way you guys can help get this book into everyone's hands sooner. But also, guys, Stephanie mentioned earlier, they are going to be on Comics and Beer for November. They're going to be the end of the month giveaway creator. So we're going to have more with Alex and Matt in November. So get excited. I am so excited. I'm over the top excited.
Besides the fact that it's well written and well drawn and just an amazing book overall, who doesn't want to support the little guy? I'm sick of giving my money to Marvel and DC. Screw those guys. Give your money to someone who matters. Matt and Alex. They're awesome dudes. We really enjoy this book so much. We cannot wait to give these 3 issues away. And Alex and Matt are putting those ciphers in, guys. Like he said, they're hard to get right now. So each book is going to have a cipher that comes with it, which is super exciting. So what do they do to get their entries into this giveaway? Comment in this video. And that doesn't mean like live chat. That means like in the comments below this video, say something. Only nice comments. Thank you. We will be taking no negative comments. Feet or horse related comments are hysterical, so they'll probably be like something I remember. So we have 3 issues to give away, guys, and there's something really cool to win.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. I think that's going to be it. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys get subscribed because there are going to be more creator interviews in the future. Make sure you guys hit that bell notification so that way you guys notify when we go live and also when we upload new content. And yeah, smash that like button. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow
night.
Comics in the Air, 10 p.m.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. Bye, guys.
Peace.